And it is amazing, isn't it, that it's our 8th annual conference. It's 5 years since we moved it into a national charity out of University College hospitals, and 2 years since I fully retired from the NHS and have been trying to lead this charity with a very small band of consultants and dedicated trustees and friends of success on limited budget of 100,000 a year. And I'm really very proud that we've managed to get this far and consolidate it post-COVID, but it wouldn't have happened without the colleagues at Great Ormond Street and UCLH who continue to support and are here in force today, from neurosurgeons to fertility specialists to psychologists, therapists, neuro-oncologists, and new people coming in who've helped us reach to the wider centres across the UK, to our trustees and the founding parents and patients who followed me out of the hospital and are spreading the word nationally, and to a very important cohort of advisors, first of whom is Lord Sandhurst, who's really spearheaded our parliamentary and NHS England campaign for us with Dominic's support. And we've also had new trustees who've come in from the clinical world, Dr. Williams and Dr. Lymond, who've helped to spearhead this campaign, but also amazing advice from Sir Bruce Keogh, from Professors Walker and Hargrave, and also from Professor Kenny. So our voice is beginning to be heard. And why is it so difficult to get it heard when there are so many brain tumour charities and other charities fighting for children and children's cancer in particular? Well, that's because we're the only ones that are focusing on life beyond cure. We want to make these futures brighter for anyone who's had a brain tumour under the age of 25. And as you'll see, that's the developmental years, and because 80% of them are actually living and living near normal lifespans. So cure is actually a success, but what does that life look like? And our AAA vision to fulfill that mission is to amplify and advocate for the voice of the survivors themselves. And that's what this conference is a key to doing, to alleviate the suffering and isolation that survivors tell us is ongoing, enable friendships, significant relationships, education, employment, and independence. And we want to help our NHS colleagues to be a catalyst for change in NHS reform and providing innovative ways and cost-efficient ways of so doing. Our Braveheart magazine has just celebrated its 2nd anniversary, and we're publishing the online version with the best of the best. But this is an idea that the young people had themselves. They edit it themselves. They publish it themselves, and the name and the logo have been provided by themselves. This is their magazine, and I encourage you to receive it online every quarter, and every year we publish it with our Christmas edition. We're here to hear that voice, to raise awareness of the unmet need, and we know that that need is hormonal, it's endocrine, particularly if it attaches to the deep midbrain, which is a vital organ that has been underappreciated in the past and needs very special surgical and medical approaches to access it. We know that it is neurological, strokes, paralysis, seizures, deafness, blindness, and it's mental health and cognition, which are particularly mental health, really important disorders, suicide risk, depression, drug addiction and dependence, and neurodiversity. And I think that neuropsychiatry is something that we want to raise an issue for, is underrepresented and difficult to access. Our solutions are all about trying to get it right from the beginning. That's going to be the most cost-effective and the most efficient. And this is where our campaign to central government, both for the pituitary-specific pathway, which affects only about 30 children a year, and needs to be able to benefit from the same advances and expertise in this very rare condition that adults with these tumours receive, and bring it in line and also neurorehabilitation and endocrine support care with mental health and cognition support for everyone across. And we've talked at this conference before about the parallel recovery pathway, parallel planning, and predicting the future. And we know that unlike a cancer pathway, these current late effect services do not meet the need for children with brain tumours. First of all, half of them are not cancers and keep coming back. And so waiting 5 years for the treatment to prove that you're cured and then monitor the effects of treatment misses an opportunity, a vital opportunity for children to deserve and get rehabilitation, schooling, educational support through vital growing and developmental years. So we think children need a really tailored pathway, and brain injuries are different from other cancers for that reason. We have begun to commission our first studies, and these are evaluations of health assessments and interventions that will benefit the quality of life of survivors. And you will hear today from Daniel Bell at Great Ormond Street, which operates on a fifth of the UK's brain tumours, childhood brain tumours. It's by far and away the largest centre. And we wanted to assess the gaps in care that patients may experience in terms of recovery. And we also have people speaking today on where there are examples of good practice in Nottingham and also from Cambridge and the Brainbow Rehabilitation Service, and from Nottingham the Brill Service, so that we can try and take the best of the best and make sure that we're replicating that and supporting that across the UK. And we've also become known for putting in patient and public voices into relevant and prestigious research, and I'm delighted that we've helped Charlotte Malcolm, a neuropsychologist at Great Ormond Street, fund the PPI element of her very prestigious grant from NIHR, which opened in February, to develop educational tools to support children's cognitive development. And I hope to hear from Charlotte this time next year how she's getting on. We know there's many, many more of all ages out there, and this is another thing that we're different about in terms of the fact that we want to reach everyone, whatever age they are and whatever stage of their journey, and we think there's about 30 to 40,000 out there. And so far, we've only had 50 respondents. So this is the one to get your voice behind that we can take to NHS England. But so far, only 2 out of 50 knew they were entitled to some neurorehabilitation. And the reality of their life after cure is that they need an awful lot of support: psychological support, support in schooling, at university, support with the brain tumour, its treatment, the cancer effects, attending appointments, and that actually, in reality, on a day-to-day basis, life is hard. It's hard. There are mental health needs, there are social care needs, and there are many ongoing pressures, and it's multiples, not each. So what we're trying to do is to empower patients and families with an educational program, and this is what's so wonderful about this conference. All the people who speak give their time and their resource and their expertise for free, including our survivors and our professionals. It is all recorded and on our YouTube for posterity, and we would like to grow that information resource. We publish for professionals as well as for families, and online we're delivering friendship groups every week, Doug and I, on a Monday, a monthly Brave Hearts live hour, which is themed for the young people themselves. Anyone is welcome to join on Wednesday months. We have relationship and dating webinar coming up soon at request, so we'll tackle anything. There's a Health Unlocked forum, which is a web chat, and we've also got engagement on both parent and survivor WhatsApp groups, which I mediate with Doug's help. But our big networking, and what I really feel is our unique offering, is these conferences, which are now twice a year, one in London and one in the north. And through that forum, we probably, by the end of this year, will have accessed half of the children's 16 paediatric neuro-oncology centres, and we're planning for the future. We want to make these grow. We want to be able to make them hybrid to reach others. We're delighted that we've got some sponsorship this year to help people come from further afield and stay overnight, and we've got satellite groups developing. We have a summer picnic on the 14th of June at Regent's Park, which is always great fun, but we want to persuade Birmingham and Manchester to do their own with their networks. And eventually we want to create camps for 15 to 30 year-olds to help enable independence. We know that's something you want. That's a dream that we need to raise funds for. In the meantime, as I alluded to, we're trying to help the mental health and employment issues by providing some one-to-one advice, trying to think about creating an Etsy shop for the considerable talent that is out there, as you can see. Craft, art, music, and a helpline. And there is a mental health workshop this afternoon with Dr. Helen Liang, who I'm delighted to welcome, who's been trying to set up a study which I would very much encourage you to take part in and give your views on how to develop it, because I think this is a very, very under-researched area that children and young people find it hard to talk about, even to their parents, and are telling us increasingly. We recruited on contract Samantha James last year to enlarge our peer-to-peer program. We've trained more mentors, but we want to push this out across the country and pair 40 mentor and mentee pairs, and that will need some facilitating. And we've restructured our board. We've got new members coming on and our executive so that we can design more services with our new parent council and survivor council and the trustees who volunteered to lead those parents and survivors that we hope to engage on the board itself. So exciting times. And in the innovation arm, as well as the educational library, we really do want to empower patients and professionals who work and strive to support this community beyond the cure itself. And beyond our helpline, we've published this booklet, which is due an update, and the last copies are available in the future. And we're also writing a survivor manual with the young people themselves, which will be a great opportunity to hear from them how they talk to their younger selves and what they wish might have happened. In terms of our recovery pathway, which is the central tenet of what we're trying to achieve, we want to create success advocates that will link the acute oncology treatment pathway to a recovery pathway from the beginning and across the lifespan. And to achieve that and help us develop and refine this pathway, we last night created the inaugural meeting of the Success Connect group, which is professionals and patients who want to support recovery beyond care. So this is neurorehabilitation specialists, occupational and physiotherapists, educationalists, community workers, social workers, mental health professionals, endocrine professionals, all those who try to support these children beyond the cure itself, so that we can signpost young people across the country and existing adults, because we mustn't forget there's an adult transition that we're planning for, but there's a big gap at the moment to fill. And that's why it's so great to have adults here as well as children, and that is also a unique mix. And we want their help to establish this recovery pathway, the national survivorship standards, and develop the roadmap for trials. And finally, I'm delighted to say that since the 6 years since we first heard about this game-changing, games-based digital platform for helping neurophysiotherapy and occupational therapy and recovery, which was developed at the Gertner Institute, Israel. We piloted just before COVID at Great Ormond Street and presented here and also to the British Paediatric Neurology Association before COVID shut it down. We've got patients here who trialed it, and we learned a lot from it, but it was very feasible and very welcome. And we spent the last 2 years with the help of Dr. Lymond and the clinical committee and Jane Hobson and the board and Baker McKenzie to overcome the significant legal protocol development and insurance costs to bring this for the first time into the UK. We get the platform for free from the company, and we've raised the first 30,000 to pay for and train the therapists in the UK, occupational therapists and neurophysiotherapists, to deliver this online in patients' home on a weekly supervision basis, but on a daily practice basis over periods of 12 weeks, and evaluate it in cohorts of 12 to 14 patients. We hope to have 50 in the first year. We're recruiting now. We've just signed the legal agreements, and we will start the study on the 1st of June on a first-come, first-served basis. Anyone can apply under 19. This is the first time it's in the UK and the first time it's been offered to children. So in conclusion, we've had some amazing successes. We've gone to the north, we've commissioned some studies, we're delivering on some projects, and we've had some very helpful strategic advice to open the door to NHS England, which has taken me 15 years, no less. So I'm absolutely thrilled, and I'm not going to be put off just because NHS England is closing. But it's thanks to these high-level individuals that we got through the door in the first place, and thanks to our colleagues for supporting it. And there are big opportunities coming forward. We want to deliver our new programs, but there's also the NHS Cancer Plan and the Department of Health and Social Care Task Force, which is, the latter is for children's cancer, all children's cancer, and has 3 streams. And we should input into the 3rd stream, particularly for the neurorehabilitation recovery pathway, advocating the health economics that early, getting it right from the beginning will save money and public costs in the long term and improve patient well-being.